All right. It being 7 o'clock, I will call today's zoning board of appeals meeting to order. We'll start with a few administrative items. I believe we have one set of minutes to run through from November 4th. Should have a red line copy. Red lines are Andy's, I think.
I did submit some, yes.
Okay. Oh, both Andy's? Both Andy's? Okay. All right, so any...
You can identify which one.
I can if you like. If need be.
All right, any questions or comments on page 1?
On the November 4th minute.
Sorry, Ruth, what was that?
I just had one minor thing on the very beginning, the November 4th minutes. I think it needs a verb. After a technical difficulty with Zoom web conferencing resulted in Ruth Kennedy Suddeth prevented, maybe rather than resulted in, prevented Ruth Kennedy Suddeth from joining.
Okay,
Sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, anything on page 2? In the first full paragraph, is it the building commission or the building commissioner?
Building commissioner, I would think.
See that second?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, commissioner. In the next paragraph, in the last line, must be in conformance with the plans on file. Coverage provides. I think we just pick one of those. I think it should be provides. Covers is deleted. Anything on page 3?
One minor thing on page 3.
Yep.
6th paragraph down. Janet Style is Jan Stiles. And that's at the end of her last name.
Yes. Anything on page 4? In the third, or the paragraph that starts with Ernest Dodd, the 1 to 3rd sentence, board should be capitalized. Okay.
You all majored in English in college, didn't you? I make a motion that we approve the zoning board.
Actually,
Oh, sorry.
sorry, no. The third paragraph under appointment one White Pond Road, I don't think I actually ever said that no special permit is needed. I think what I said was, like, that the board, it wasn't appropriate for the board to take a position because there was no sort of active matter before us. I don't want to imply that we said one or the other, it was just more. Okay, I can change that. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
And actually, I think I would actually, from and to non-conformities, I would delete that. I think I'd simply said, he would issue a building permit, so there's something for us to talk about, essentially. Hey, sorry.
That's okay. I'll second this motion. I'll make a motion that we approve the zoning board of appeals meeting minutes of November 4th as edited. Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. And the minutes as amended are approved. All right, do you have any member updates of a planning or zoning nature? All right. There's a number of pieces of correspondence that are listed in the agenda, some of which, most of which concerns active matters. But otherwise, does anyone have any comments, questions, or concerns about any of those?
No, thank you.
Okay. All right, in that case, we will wait until 7:15 to reopen the public hearing for 60 Pines Point Road. Oh, sure.
Time doesn't fly, so we're waiting for it.
All right, it being 7:15, we're gonna reopen the hearing on 60 Pine Point Road. As a reminder, Lenny, I think you're sitting in on this one, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, okay, excellent. Since our last meeting, we received a lot of correspondence, noted all in the agenda. I'll just recognize that since the agenda was published, we received one additional piece of correspondence from Janet Stiles via email dated December 5th at 2:09 p.m., which you all should have a copy of. We have pending before us a request for petition withdrawal that was filed by the applicant. I assume arising from in part arising from the decision of the building commissioner, which is addressed in an email that was part of the agenda packet dated November 26th. So I'll open the floor for thoughts on the request for withdrawal. Just as a reminder, Michael, to be honest here, because the request for withdrawal of the application was after the notice of public hearing was published, it can only be withdrawn without prejudice if we approve it. Otherwise, it's with prejudice. So,
No, you can withdraw without.
You can go either way now.
right, I'm saying if it was before it was published, he could withdraw it without prejudice without us acting. Now the only way he can do it is if we consent.
You can withdraw with or without prejudice. So yes, the only way to do it now is with the board's consent.
No, what I'm saying is that he can withdraw it without our consent, albeit with prejudice.
I don't think
No,
that's-
no, okay.
it
Either
needs
way,
to-
it's fine.
Okay.
He didn't ask, what did he say?
Yeah,
I believe it's without prejudice.
Without prejudice.
That's generally what the board
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, I mean, it's not noted within the request, but for what it's worth. So. Anyways, I'll open the floor for discussion on the request.
Yeah, I'd like to understand sort of the legalese behind this. I read the case. I don't know why, but I did.
You could not sleep very well that night.
Exactly, I wanted to. So I'm obviously reading where it says that, sheds and small buildings are, sort of diminish that they don't really, and then they don't increase the intensification. But does that necessarily mean that there's no need for a special permit? It does.
Yes, so.
Go ahead.
Sorry, at the training with council in 2023, that was the case that council used as justification for when a property owner needs to file a special permit versus not file a special.
Okay. But a permit is still required if it meets bylaw requirements, which I don't think this does, but I think, what is it, bylaws, 200 square feet or
This is 48 square feet,
48.
so it does not require a building permit.
okay.
And the 200 square feet is Massachusetts law, not town law. Town doesn't specify.
Okay.
All right, and this court case is complicated and it's addressing other issues, but it's pointing out that there were minor changes, including sheds and everything else listed there, is not required. That the building inspector can issue the permit. And I agree with that.
So it's almost regardless of where the building's located, what, so at that point, you know, setbacks, even for a house that's meets, you know, bylaws, the zoning laws, it doesn't matter. They can put it all right on the edge of the property.
It's shed specific.
Yes.
Right.
I'd like to point out, though, you know, you can put a fence up around your property. This has to be set back 1 foot. That's by right.
Yeah.
And so a fence could go there 8 foot high from the street all the way down to, well, when you got to the buffer zone, 35-foot buffer zone, you'd have to go to the Conservation Commission to get permission. But the fence could go up.
And there's a distinction here between, you know, what would constitute, say, an allowance for, you know, increasing a non-conforming use as opposed to something that might be a nuisance. You know, I mean, like, you know, you have a right to have trees on your property, obviously, you don't need a special permit for that. But if there's a tree and it's, you know, blocking sunlight, then, you know, then that's an issue, you know, that would constitute nuisance, and that would be an issue for the building commissioner. So, you know, from what I read of this, it would appear that a shed would be, you know, allowed as far as an increase of a, well, it would be allowed because it's, you know, just an appurtenant structure, it would not, you know, constitute a need for a special permit. But if for some reason the building commissioner thought that it was somehow creating some kind of a nuisance, well, that would be, you know, I think his judgment call, just as if there was, you know, a tree or some other structure that was being somehow obstructing in some way. And, you know, I think, you know, based on that, it's his call. And if he wanted us to weigh in, you know, he could, but at this point, so far, he hasn't.
Well, I think that's, I guess, I mean, personally, I've got a couple thoughts. One is, we actually discussed this case at a hearing, I can't remember when, and I can't, for the life of me, I cannot remember. But I actually remember commenting at the time that I was like, I don't agree with the decision. But it is what I remember actually reading it going, I don't think this is right, but it is what it is. Oh, go ahead.
It is on Kingland Road, right next to the property I at one time was a trustee of, and they had a lot that was non-conforming. They put up a house that had all the requirements, setbacks and everything, but it was increasing possibly the impact the community, and so therefore you needed a, that's right, decision.
Yeah. For me, the question really before us, it's actually not like, do we agree with what the building commissioner is saying in his November 26th email or not? Because that question is actually not technically before us. You know what I mean? The question before us is simply, do we grant the applicant's request for a withdrawal? You know, I think I'm just trying to be cognizant and sensitive to the fact that, like, our jurisdiction is only so big and we can only talk about kind of what's in front of us. And so,
Why would we deny his petition for withdrawal?
well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know. The only reason I can't imagine the only reason I could come up with some hypotheticals as to why, like, if the building commissioner hadn't weighed in and someone had spent like a year and a half, frankly, jerking us around, and we were like, you know what, we don't want to let you withdraw, we're actually going to deny you, or, you know, something extreme like that, I could imagine that as a scenario.
Something frivolous.
Exactly, that's exactly right. That it's almost like if it's an attempt to avoid a denial, like, and there's been some bad faith involved, I could imagine in that situation recommending, no, we need to take action. This person's trying to escape what we're trying to do and go around it.
Yeah. In this case, it's pretty clear why he wants to withdraw. It's because he got a favorable opinion from the building commissioner. And I don't think there's any reason that he's doing this to be frivolous or to game the system. He just felt he got what he wanted from the building commissioner.
Yeah. You know, that's why I brought up the issue of, like, in a situation like this, I think the only question before us is, like, do we do it, you know, with prejudice or without prejudice, and trigger a 2-year clock or anything like that? I don't know if anyone feels strongly about that one or the other. But and if someone disagrees with sort of my take on it, you know, let me know.
Well, of course, he probably doesn't. Maybe he doesn't understand the difference.
You probably didn't.
He
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah, because the words aren't in the request.
He's just withdrawing, and, you know, he feels he got a favorable decision, and, you know, if it gets an unfavorable decision, I would imagine you'd want to come back again, I would think.
That's right, that's exactly right.
I would say the discretion of better part of valor is to say without prejudice, just to keep on, just in case for some reason it does come back to us.
Other thoughts?
I think it's consistent with what the case law said and what the town council instructed us at, many months ago.
Yes. No? All right. I'll entertain a motion.
So this is a two-step process, I think, at least two parts, two components to the proposal. And so I'll say this, so it's a two-part motion regarding the withdrawal of the 60 Pine Point Road special permit application. That the board rejects the petition to continue the 60 Pine Point public hearing on January 6th. And also that the board accepts the petition to withdraw the special permit application for 60 Pine Point Road without prejudice.
I'll second that.
Okay, well, let's do it one at a time.
Okay.
All right, so which one's first?
Aren't they co-joined here?
They can be separate,
Oh.
they could be one or two motions.
Yeah,
But
let's do them separate.
Okay.
Just to keep the record clear.
Let's do the withdrawal first and then close the public hearing.
We have to,
Actually,
we have to close the hearing and then withdraw the petition, I
Either
think.
way.
Well, I think you,
Well, there's no petition to close.
well, no, the first request is to continue. I think we can deny the request to continue.
so the first motion should be denying to continue public hearing.
All right, so let's do that.
All right. So the board rejects the petition or denies the petition to continue the 60 Pine Point public hearing on January 6th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Okay,
Okay, so the second part of this would be that the board accepts the petition to withdraw the special permit application for 60 Pine Point Road
Without prejudice.
without prejudice.
Second.
okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? No. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
All right.
All right, with that, the special permit is, the application is withdrawn and the matter is closed. All right, our next public hearing on the agenda is not until 7:45, but we do have an administrative item. Just give me a second. One second.
Actually, I would need everyone to sign this. I'm just going to take it.
Oh, okay. Michael, do you have a preference on the town meeting changes or this?
No, I do not have a
Okay, all right, why don't we talk briefly about the town meeting zoning changes? Do you want to just kind of give us an update?
Sure.
Kind of recess?
So last Monday was a special town meeting where town meeting approved amendments to the accessory apartment bylaw. And as part of that, it calls out non-conforming lots to section 4.4. So they're allowed by right, but require a finding by this board to say that the non-conforming, I'll get the exact words in the warrant.
It's the building inspector that makes a decision. But it's, he has a question, then he comes to us for.
So it reads as, The lot and existing dwelling conform to the minimum dimensional requirements of section 4 of this bylaw. Where the lot or existing dwelling are non-conforming and the building commissioner determines that the accessory apartment will increase the non-conforming nature of an existing nonconformity, a finding issued by the Board of Appeals pursuant to 3.97 of the bylaw, Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, Paragraph 1, after a public hearing consistent with Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 11, may be required prior to the issuance of a building permit. So this would be an application that would come through this board to say that the board does not find that there is
Non-conformity.
an increase in the non-conformity.
Intensity.
Right.
And this was all triggered based on a recent state law, right?
Yes, so chapter 150 of the Acts of 2024 said that accessory apartments need to be allowed by right in every municipality in Massachusetts. So we are a little bit ahead of other towns by adopting it quickly. So there are still some things that we don't know because the state hasn't finalized any regulations yet regarding this. But in
Michael,
the-
it's what we're adjudicating is that it is not increasing the degree of nonconformity, even though the building inspector said that it was, or that the degree of nonconformity doesn't have detrimental effect. What are we opining on?
It would be that the increase in nonconformity would not have a detrimental effect on the surrounding neighborhood.
Got it. Okay, so standard issue ZBA stuff.
Right, it's a special permit standard.
Yes, so it would be like a special permit, but it wouldn't be a special permit.
No public hearings required.
It would be a public hearing.
Would be a public
Yes. So the way I kind of think of it is it's similar to site plan approval that the planning board would do, where you just kind of review everything and then issue a decision. And then that decision would go to the building inspector prior to the building permit.
So the
Just to make sure.
the sequence is, it's permitted by right where it is on a non-conforming lot and the building inspector determines that it would be increasing the degree of non-conformity. It bumps to us to determine that that increase in the degree of non-conformity isn't a detrimental effect.
Correct.
And we do it through the regular old public hearing process, just like we would anything else.
Yes, we would.
Okay,
And just to make sure I'm kind of getting my mind around the, when they're saying like non-conformity, that would be, for instance, something that is too big already for the lot, but we're adding more square footage, or something's in kind of the same, they're not adding square footage, but maybe they're adding a bedroom or something that they need to increase their septic or whatnot. Is that kind of examples of that?
Things like that could trigger it. If it's kind of, if the building's already on the building setbacks and it goes another foot outward, that would trigger it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, it's kind of like, if you've got an area above your garage and you want to convert it into an apartment and rent it out, like, that's not increasing the nonconformity, that's probably, hypothetically, it's probably okay. If you decide to build a brand new, like, one-room apartment in your backyard, like, that's most likely gonna come before us. I mean, presuming that you don't live on some 20-acre property.
Yeah, just the other thing is kind of that septic stuff, because if you add the apartment,
True. Good news is that then we can kick it to the Board of Health. And let them deal with it. But I think it all comes from the state law that was trying to increase the flexibility to allow for, more housing options throughout the Commonwealth.
So I think it's a procedural question with regard to the applicant starts the process with a request to a building permit.
Yes.
And then the building commissioner deduces that there's a potential issue there. Then somebody has to initiate the special permit. That would be the applicant
Special permit.
or the variant or whatever it is that needs to be adjudicated.
So the building inspector would say that the applicant would need to go to this board for a finding that there is no increase in the non-conforming nature. And then that would be all the board needs to find. And then
Okay.
if the board finds that and takes a vote, then we send it back to the building commission.
Okay.
Variances are out of the picture, period. even if you have a conforming lot, meet all the setbacks, and you put an addition in that violates a setback, we can approve it without a variance.
If it's a conforming lot.
Yeah.
And they want to do it in the setback, they could petition for a variance.
They'd have to petition for a variance first, okay.
Yes, but that wouldn't, there would be no non-conformities already, so they'd be introducing a new.
Okay.
It's that strange situation where it would almost be to your advantage to be in a pre-existing non-conforming lot and to be in the.
Get this halo effect,
I don't love the logic
Right.
behind it. It's like, it's better to be in a small lot and squeeze something in there than to be in a really big lot and build something else. Like,
Right.
I find it to be illogical at times, but that's the reality.
That's the way it is.
One other question on the kind of motivation there of where it's looking to increase housing, if you've got something that's already existing that has an in-law.
Mhm.
Is it things across the board that they could add another in-law, or is that it's only the one?
You're only allowed one by the current bylaw.
Right. One extra set of kitchens and bathrooms and bedrooms.
And there's some other standards that applicants would have to meet. But just for this board, it's about the increase in that.
All right, so, remind me, what's the, because it was approved by the special town meeting, does it go into effect right away, or is there a X period of time?
It
Doesn't the AG's office
goes
have to approve?
into effect right away, but we won't get the official response from the AG's office for another 90 so days.
Okay.
So we're assuming that what we have complies with the AG's office.
Gotcha, okay.
So I guess my question for the board is, would we want this to be a separate set of rules and regulations on the procedure? Or do we want to incorporate that into the existing rules and regs?
Existing, I might.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think it's gonna be standard at that point, so it might as well be integrated.
Yeah, I would agree with that as well.
Okay.
I mean, it
I
sounds
don't-
like it's the same process, right? It's just a different precipitating event.
Right, I agree, yeah.
Okay. I just don't know how long this bylaw is gonna exist, because there are plans for further modifications to it. So that's why I was thinking a separate document, just so that we don't have to amend.
So,
Paragraph,
You gotta make a revision one way or the other, right?
a different chapter, it's the same thing.
from a timing perspective, is that being contemplated for the next town meeting? Is that
I
right?
don't believe so.
It would take longer than that.
It'd be maybe in the next 2 years
Oh,
of
okay.
full revision.
Okay, I was gonna
Okay,
say.
so do we just roll with what we've got and then modify it when we have to?
Yeah. If you had told me it's gonna go before the next town meeting, I'd go, oh, okay, well, if it's that fast, but if it's gonna be around for a couple of years, like, I'd rather have something on, personally, I'd rather have something on the books. In case someone comes before us, I don't want them flailing there, I don't know what to do. Okay, is that something that, sorry to ask, is that something that you're gonna draft, that were proposed, or is that something you're asking us to draft?
It's something I can draft.
Okay,
So I've been working on revising the rules and regulations, just to do a general cleanup of everything. And yeah, the next meeting, we'll do a full review. I don't think we've gotten any applications in, so there's nothing scheduled for January.
For the
So I think
January?
it would be a good time for a workshop session.
Took us a long time to review it and get updated.
This is true.
what a better way
You
to
gotta
start
start somewhere.
2025 than reviewing rules and regs. Well, our goal will be to finish before the end of the calendar year.
Yeah.
I say cynically. All right, the other administrative item we had was proposed revisions on the application form.
I did get some comments.
Yeah, Andy, I think you sent.
Yeah, I had a couple of just
Okay,
general questions.
yeah, we can take a couple minutes to take a look at it. Oh, and just was this brought on something from your own initiative, or was there some other trigger that kind of caused the need for a change?
So the first second and last page are all the same, just reformatted
Yeah.
to make it easier for me to explain to applicants.
Right.
Page 3 is all new because I just want people to fully
Yeah.
say like, this is what I'm submitting and what I'm not submitting.
Right.
Just so that it's clear and they go in with the expectation that,
Right, I guess my point is that no one was ordering us to change this, this was,
Convenience.
yeah, this was your own initiative to just, improve it and lessons learned, yeah.
one issue.
Excellent.
And you can add accessory apartment to it.
Yes.
That's
I'll be
right.
adding that too.
There you go.
Hey, you got my
Did you add?
accessory apartment.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but you want to just kind of.
So I
quickly
just,
chat it
was
out?
on page 1, under property information, site area. What did you intend that to mean? Square feet or some dimension, or what is that?
So right now, it's either square feet or acres, and usually people have to circle one, but they never do. So I just thought if we left it as that, they can write in whatever it is in square feet or acres.
You can always get it from the assessors too. Just
Right, quick. Okay, it was just an ambiguous term for me, that's why I just, what do you want there, so if there could be somewhat more specific, but you have to process it, so it's up to you.
And I guess, should we change it to site frontage or should we keep it as lot frontage? Because in some cases, there are two parcels that are considered.
If you do, like, what he was saying, it might make sense to then put lot area, if it was gonna then say lot frontage, or site area and site frontage.
But that's a specific dimension though, the frontage, right?
So is area.
Right, but so when you say site area, I don't know how to answer that question. If you want it in, square feet, you want it in inches, you want it in acres?
doesn't make any difference.
I think.
Okay.
It doesn't matter,
And the frontage is fine in the bylaw for the
Right.
frontage.
yeah. Frontage has to be.
And, I mean, if you're gonna, the terms should be consistent, in my opinion.
So I think site frontage would be better, because there could be two lots under one application.
And you want to talk about the other comments?
See, it was really simple on the dimensional variances. Does it make sense to say right side yard, left side yard?
Yeah.
Of course,
Oh, yeah.
the awkward moment is like right side facing which way, it's like.
Well, you
which way, but,
you have an orientation here, there's
From the
front, back,
frontage.
and side, right?
There's the right
So
side.
you
and
got
left
4
side.
sides here.
Arguably, at least if you said left or and right, you should be able to then look at they can figure out what they're determining is left and
Well,
right based on
yeah,
what
I
it's
know.
down.
I'm just imagining that one person being like, well, when I stand in my backyard, or should I stand in my backyard?
Of course, the site plan will tell you.
I know that, yeah.
Right.
Previously, we only had one side yard line.
Yeah.
So
We need to.
I put two in.
Yeah.
You wanted to,
Well, I think it's clear, so if I put the right side first and the left side second, and somebody else does it the other way around, does it matter? It's just a clarity, matter of clarification, that's all.
It keeps it from being confused. with-
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, right? The orientation is always precise. You know where you're standing when you're looking at the thing.
Right and left.
Sure.
Uh,
I mean, we could add a note saying like.
Standing and facing the sun, and it's over your right side.
I was actually just gonna say facing the front, facing the front.
Where's the moon?
north, south, east, west.
That's gonna take a while.
Yeah, that would be that.
Yeah.
No,
Facing-
lots of
facing
lined
the
up
front of
ways.
the house. I think everyone knows right and left, so let's just stick to that. Okay, other,
That was all. There was one little note, I think, on the footer. It was just a spacing question or issue, but that was it. That's all I could come up with.
What do you mean by, others, variance of section 6377, all this for the sign, okay, never mind. I understand.
Shouldn't it be in the zoning enforcement official officer, same thing? Is it,
Where,
oh no, page 3.
yes, it's all the same, but they can be separated positions based on the town.
Okay.
On the full scale site plan, tab 5, where did the 5 copies go? For the full scale, D size.
Generally, it's 1 to me, 1 to the clerk, and then we have 3 if the board needs it.
Yeah, because I need one, I can't see this.
So I was,
Fine detail, the other two.
Do we have to put a special line there for,
For me,
yeah, Aaron's copy?
so
for the age, don't know ZBA. If you're getting there.
most of these can get reduced in print copy. I was gonna say 7 for the ones that say 9, just 1 for each board member, 1 for me, 1 for the clerk. But,
Do you get them in PDF all the time?
and if we need any extras, we can always
Print them that way.
print them off. But we can also keep it as is. Just say, or
One small thing that I think we're gonna need to jump. At the top there, if we don't include something, it says you have to provide a written justification. There's no place for it. I mean, we could put it could be at the bottom. It could be like, you know, under additional information. You could say, you know, please provide a written justification.
Or put a notes on each of these.
Yeah, or, I mean, you know, or if you don't wanna do that, the other option is to say, you know, provide a separate.
Attach, yeah.
Yeah, you know, please attach a separate written justification. I don't want them confused going, I don't know where this is, and then they start scribbling it out. So, especially if the idea is to make this extremely simple. So, but, like I said, I'm agnostic whether it's a separate writing or it should be more. Actually, I forgot what the signature page was on the last one. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'm not trying to rush anything. I'm happy to table this until after the next hearing. But
I'm gonna duck out because I'm not on this next hearing, but I wanted to do this admin stuff.
okay, all right. Do you have anything else on the revised application?
No, I thought it looked good,
Okay,
unless Michael has anything he wants us to change.
understood.
Hi, you guys. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Ruth. Any other comments about the application?
Good, thank you.
Okay, all right. What I'll say is if anyone does have any other additional comments or edits or whatnot, just email them to Michael separately, but otherwise, if I were you, I'd feel free to finalize. Okay.
and then we'll go over the rest at our next meeting. The rules and regs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dedicated meeting to that. All right. All right, it being now past 7:45, I'm gonna reopen the public hearing for 56 Harvard Road, the application for special permit. Lenny, I believe you're also on this.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and then not reflected in the correspondence list on the agenda, but just to, just to recognize additional pieces of correspondence that we received from Peter and Sarah Klein, received on December 9th. Trish Crawford, dated was at the bottom on December 6th, and also Trish Crawford dated December 8th in the photo. And then we also received a site plan from the applicant, which I think we received late Friday.
And today.
Oh, and today, okay. I think there's 2, though I'm gonna stop talking and let the applicant tell us exactly what was provided. So I'll turn it back over to the applicant.
Thanks so much.
Thank
So I went back, as per what you guys requested, and asked the surveyor to come back and do a site plan. And as you guys said, he knew exactly what a site plan was. This is his job, right? So he went and did that. And then, so I sent you the first copy, which I got right away. And then I spoke with Michael, and then I asked him to make a couple adjustments just to avoid anything. Then I asked him to, on the second one specifically, to put like parking spaces in the horse ring, and then I asked him to use the strictest possible guidelines of what could be considered parking spaces, just to, as much, because again, I can't fit that many people in the barn. So I just asked for like the strictest plan that he could come up with in regards to that.
Can you, I'm sorry, just so I know. I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask you so you can say it. What's the difference between the two plans?
Me?
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
The main difference here is on the second plan, we simply added the parking spaces here.
Okay, all right.
Where's your well? I just looked at it.
The well?
Yeah, I didn't see it on there.
The well, I believe, is right here, right by the
Parking
driveway,
area.
up here.
Anything new or else to add?
Nothing new. Happy to answer any other questions you all have. I feel like we talked about most of it at length, so I don't have anything crazy to add unless you guys have any questions.
So how many cars is this parking space?
So here, yeah, I believe, yeah, I used the strictest possible, because we could, he said we could put more, but I asked him specifically, whatever the guidelines are, like, is this varying ones, what kind of parking spaces it could be, like, whether it's like tarred and like painted and like all kinds of different things. Not that we're doing that, but I just asked him to use the strictest possible guidelines. The rest of it was obviously pretty self-explanatory as far as like this goes, but I just wanted to add that little extra clarification,
So the
just in case.
What is that, 26 or what is that number?
26, yes.
Okay.
As I recall, I think you would envision something like a maximum of like 25 people in the barn for any.
Somewhere, I figured it may, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what I figured, if we were to put a max number on it, I would figure it would be more of like a, whatever, like the building code or fire code, like whatever they allow for the building. I would assume I will have a max of whatever people tell me is the max, of course.
Any other questions, comments for the applicant in particular, in light of the site plan that we have for us? I'll open up to board members and associate board members for any discussion. Thoughts? I don't know, or no thoughts, I mean,
I'm looking at the parking notes. That looks like a good potential for accidents in there.
well, just because there's 26 spots in there doesn't mean that we have to approve 26.
No, right, exactly. I'm just looking at it and saying, well, cars can be backing into each other all over the place on that
Well,
one.
that's true, any parking lot.
So
That's true too.
So if you were to think of it as a regular parking lot, there's significantly more room. There would actually be enough room to put a whole row in the middle and still have the space that you'd get in a normal parking lot. Like if you were to go to like any parking lot. But I agree. I mean, I'm not planning on shoving cars in there.
So, but, yeah, I think this, well, I guess the one question is then, based on this plan, you have, you're planning to use that corral for your parking versus anywhere else? Because you didn't show any parking anywhere else.
That's just the main place I plan to use. I showed the other places as potential overflow parking.
Okay.
However, we simply are not gonna, realistically, we can't fit, like, to use the overflow parking, we don't even have that many people that we can have in the barn.
Yeah, so have you heard from anyone, fire chief or whomever makes a decision as to what they estimate the maximum number of people can fit in the barn?
They are waiting on this to be approved.
By the way, the dimensions for parking is on page 124 of the bylaw, it's 7.5.5. And the length for a 90-degree parking is 18 feet, 9 feet wide.
And then the
And
backup
newer aisle
space
is
is
24 feet.
24.
And he's got more than that there.
It's gonna be hard on snows. Can you remind me, by the way, what are the current hours of operation that you have?
Mainly Monday through Friday from 1 to 10. And weekends, it's mainly just by appointment usually. But we do, it tends to be, honestly, it tends to be like morning to early afternoon right now, but that's like what we mainly do. We don't teach till 10 every night. Most nights we don't. Because I personally, if I don't have to teach until 10, I'd rather teach a little bit earlier and be done earlier. But
On average, what's your latest class?
on average, I would say 8:15 or 9 is when they usually end.
And maybe someone can remind me, because I don't remember if it's in the application or not. Are you looking for the same hours, or are you looking for adjusted hours?
I plan to keep the same hours, Monday through Friday from 1 to 10. And weekends have always been more flexible. I don't like post specific hours for weekends, because I like to try to keep them open personally. But
What's the latest on a weekend that you've had in terms of an appointment to stand for?
usually still finishing same as the week. Like I can't remember a time I had after like 10
At night?
at night. Like even if I have like a party, I usually tend to have it a little, I prefer to have it a little earlier as a preference.
Speaking of the parties, the typical hours for your parties are from what to what?
So typically the parties fall within normal business hours. So we would just have a party, normal business hours instead of the lessons.
Okay, starting when though, typically?
Typically, in the past, we've done like 8:15 to 9:30 as our parties. And
It's a
then
short party.
yeah, well, it's like a lot of dancing, and then like a lot of times people will, we usually do like a 45-minute lesson beforehand, and then we'll have like usually like an hour and a half, so like 8:15 to 9:30, and then people like a lot of times will just like hang out a little bit as they're like winding out. A lot of these people have become friends over the years, so they'll just kind of hang out. A big group of these people have been dancing with us for 4, 5, 6 years at this point. They even have their own like Thanksgiving and stuff together, so.
So if this is a party as opposed to a dance lesson,
Mhm.
well, I guess obviously one difference would be to be a group of people as opposed to just, one or two people, but other than that, what would be different that would make it a party as opposed to, just a dance lesson?
As far as what's going on that you can, as far as outside of the space, nothing. As far as inside the space, it's not significantly different. We'll just have more people dancing to the same song. Slightly more people dancing to the same song. It's not like we're blaring the music any louder than we normally would. Yeah.
Alcohol or?
I have on occasion. I've done in the past. I haven't fully decided what I'm doing here, but like in the past, what I've done is like I'll just put out some like hors d'oeuvres, maybe some like wine or some sodas or things like that for events that were more like formal events that we put on. In the past, I have got like a 1-day liquor license. Not very often that I've like had something that formal, but I've done that in the past.
Do people need to pay to attend for an admission?
Not usually. Usually it's just like it's mostly just like our students coming for like practice and stuff. So we don't typically charge them.
But you do on occasion.
Technically, if there could be like a drop-in if like you're not a student, but I think I can count on one hand in 7 years that somebody who wasn't a student like came to a party, and even then we never we very rarely like actually charge them.
So basically they can attend the parties as long as they're a student, there's not an additional charge.
Right. Just something we like to do for our students and stuff, just to like give extra practice, and like again they're like we see these people every week, and it's just like a nice formal get together for the most part.
Show your skills.
Yeah, because it's like it gives them an opportunity to like use it. We'll have like say your kids are getting married and you want practice, like you're coming to take dance lessons to like get ready for like going to the wedding. It can be very different just being by yourself on the floor with your instructor doing like quick, slow. But then if you have like a big crowd and like, then all of a sudden it can be like totally different. So like it's good to get like that extra practice in so that you like practice dancing with and around other people. And then sometimes if like we have a wedding couple getting married like next weekend at the party, we'll have them like practice dancing in front of people because they haven't really practiced in front of dancing and stuff. So we'll do like cool things like that.
So one of the things that kind of, I think just to move things along, there's different sort of categories of things that sort of need to get resolved. Things like hours, things like, any mitigation measures, whether it comes, lighting or noise or whatnot, cars, do the events as well. So I wouldn't mind to sort of, if there's no objection, wouldn't mind sort of just kind of ticking through those and as a way of sort of moving forward. So the first question has to do with the hours. So I'll open up for people's thoughts about that.
Well, I
And
mean,
I'm talking just the normal hours of operation.
right.
Yeah.
Monday through Sunday, Monday through Friday, or?
Monday through Friday,
Monday
and
to
Saturday,
Friday.
Sunday, Saturday.
Separate
Okay,
weekends.
okay, that's good. So Monday through Friday, I'm thinking 10 to 8. Because then I'll get the wind down period, and so that by the time 8:30 rolls around, it's quiet again for the neighborhood.
Would it make sense to have that for possibly just like the parties, because the lessons aren't technically loud, are they?
Well, it's a group lesson, so it could be X number of people there.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
versus the individual lessons, which, just maybe one or two people there.
yeah.
So 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Yes.
on Monday through Friday.
My only hesitation with that is, and I'm saying this extremely ignorantly, I can't imagine there's a lot of people during the week who are gonna say, I'd like a dance lesson at 11 o'clock in the morning. For what it's, I mean, for what it's worth.
We can almost say it's from 8 in the morning until.
Well, I mean, yeah,
If they show up, they show up. It's up to him to accommodate them.
that's fair.
I don't see what the harm would be if somebody wanted a dance lesson at 10 in the morning.
It's in the evening.
As opposed to 7 in the morning, which.
And my thought with that is it gets beyond school buses.
Well, that's true. No, you're right. It gives the flexibility that if someone wants to do it in the morning, they can. That's right. I don't mean to oppose.
I think he was reading it the other way around, but.
Yeah.
So you mean like parties? Of course, right?
I'm sorry?
Like, you mean like parties or events, like within the hours?
No,
I'm talking like normal hours.
Normal hours.
You can take parties separately.
So.
The only, I'm just gonna throw this out there for discussion. I think 10 goes too, personally, I think 10 is too late. The question is whether or not, 9 is a better compromise.
10 to 8, he said.
No, I'm talking now the back end.
About the other end,
At 10
yeah.
PM. I think 10 PM is too late,
Oh,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
The question is whether 8 PM is too early,
You could say 8:30. I mean, I was debating between 8 and 9 myself.
Yeah, no, I know, that's what I'm just saying.
And so was I actually, the reason I went with 8 again, because it is a residential area and there are children there. And, although, even with the assumption that there will be no external noise except when people leave, it could be very noisy. Or somewhat noisy.
Well, that's on the night when you have multiple people. So what's the duration of an average lesson?
Average lesson is 45 minutes, and as far as kids go, the 2 houses that are close to this that have kids are sitting in this room. Myself, my house, and of course, this gentleman here. We are the ones with kids on this road. And everything as far as light, as far as noise, as far as anything, as far as like being disruptive, I'm the one that has a 4-year-old and a 2-month-old. So realistically, I know you can't factor this in like specifically, but just talking to you guys from my perspective here is, if there's going to be anything that's going to be disturbing anyone, like it's going to be my house with a child, with 2 children in it. And if we're concerned about kids, we can talk to this gentleman who is the other one on the street that's about a neighbor that has these children there. And as far as putting some of these restrictions on it, I'm not saying that I'm entirely opposed to all of it or talking about it. I'm just gonna say that I think it's clear that if we say something at like 9 o'clock is like a cutoff for whatever reason, we're gonna hear complaints at 9:01 on every little thing that we do. So I'm of course happy to be within reason, but when talking about these, what I'm worried about is like the frivolous behavior that we're gonna have to deal with if.
Well, you can manage that, right? If you have to have cease business operations by pick a time, 9 o'clock at night. That's 9 o'clock at night. So you don't run your lesson up until 8:59. You run your lesson until such time as people can leave the premises properly, and there's enough time to leave without disturbing any time limits or anything like that. So I think there's a way to mitigate that or manage that from a perspective of running a business. So that's at least from my perspective, I think that's a manageable event.
How many lessons would you be getting after 8 o'clock at night, let's say?
So we're not taking public comment. So
Yeah, Ask-
goes
Which
directly.
why
it
we're
goes
not taking
directly
public
to his
comments.
Stop
comment.
interrupting.
So, and I'm gonna ask the applicant to also not talk to the public.
All right, my apologies. I've just,
That's fine, just answer the question.
It comes
Yep.
directly.
so,
Ma'am, I'm gonna ask you please politely to keep your voice down.
my apologies again. So on average, we'll probably, after 8 o'clock, you said?
Yes.
We usually have a lesson between, so we do 45-minute lessons and we run, so we have 7:30, 8:15, and 9 are our last 3 slots. So the 8:15 to 9, that is booked probably 3 or 4 times a week. And then the 9 to 9:45 block is booked probably maybe twice a week in general. So, yeah, that's. But again, we're talking about one person at my house at 9:45. So it's not like
Crowd.
it's not like we're throwing a party of 30 people on a Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We're talking one person at my house, which could be at any residence can do. It's not in any way creating any extra noise, any extra traffic, having one person at my house.
So are you saying that you'll never have more than one person or 2
No, he's
people
not
in your
saying
house that,
He's not saying
after
that.
9 o'clock?
I mean, I don't know if I will specifically say that, but from 7, I mean, you have my wife and I that are there, and
We're
then,
talking clientele, so
Yeah.
it's not you.
right, so then I can only teach one lesson at a time. So I'm not gonna have like parties at 10 o'clock at night.
Right, but the question is, you're here to get a special permit to do group lessons in a barn. So are you, and you're saying right now you only have one person at a time because you can't do group lessons. So if we give you permission to do group lessons, does that mean that you'll never do group lessons at 9 AM?
PM?
9 PM.
That's what I said, 9 PM, sorry, yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat one more time?
Yes, so what I'm trying to get at is, I'm trying to understand, right, yes, now you don't do group lessons at 9 PM because you aren't permitted to do group lessons at 9 PM. If we permit you to do group lessons, are you still saying you'd never do group lessons at night at 9 PM?
No, I would say that I would finish by 10 PM. If there were no, if there were no restrictions, I would keep it Monday through Friday from 1 to 10. And I would book all of them. I would book all my group classes. I would try to book them all at 7:30. So either between 6 and 7:30 tends to be the optimal time for those.
Because
for
they work
group
after
classes.
work, is that one?
Yeah, and then it's less popular at 9 because people want to be winding down for bed, so they're less likely to want to come and dance. Do some people, does it happen on occasion that people dance at 9? Yes. I don't anticipate teaching group classes at 9, even if there were no restriction. However, I just wouldn't want to shoot myself in the foot there,
Look, so guys, he can't schedule the way it is now, and I think it's reasonable that we can pick a time and he can live within it. And we can have a review of this special permit if we care to in a year. If things are not going well, if Lisa's getting a lot of calls, we'll reconsider the times. I think you'll be reasonable about it, I assume.
yes,
And
there's
if you're
going to
not, you'll
be,
hear from us.
Okay.
absolutely, there'll be 2 children 50 feet away that need to be able to sleep.
Sorry, Maria.
I'm a bit confused on who's answering on like the capacity question, so the parking now is giving us this 26 number or something. Is it us who's saying
We're making the decision.
Yeah.
on what the capacity is?
Everything, yeah.
I mean, theoretically, the fire chief will say from the fire code, thank you, I was gonna say regs.
'Cause I think we need
What the
that first.
Well, here's the thing, the fire code will dictate the maximum capacity in the barn. or whatever
Right.
we're gonna call it.
Right.
The reality is that that's gonna be well in excess of whatever the parking is. So it's not a situation where we're gonna pick a number and the fire code's gonna go
I don't
below
know
it.
if that's right, though, right? Because it's a smaller barn, there's a lot of parking.
But that doesn't, so he
But I'm
may
just
have
trying
a
to
party
say,
in the
like-
summertime outside and use his parking lot. for
I think
that.
what I'm trying to say is if that capacity comes back smaller and then we're limiting hours because we're afraid of, some big,
He can come back and deal with it then. You know. It's the nature of like, we gotta go in some sort of, in my opinion, we've gotta go in some sort of order. So if we're going first, then, we take the shot. If there's an issue that happens in front of a different board or a commission, or if the Board of Health comes back and says there's massive issues with the bathrooms,
what initiates that safety part to happen? Like, how does that capacity number come in, or?
That building inspector.
I'm just gonna have to go to, get approval from the fire committee, the fire chief and Board of Health.
Okay,
So all these, our decision is gonna be subject to, the Board of Health and the fire chief.
okay.
yeah, if there's anything, incongruity, with what happens, like, he can come back, or, we can reopen things if necessary, but.
It just seems like we're talking a lot about stuff we're kind of envisioning, that I was just kind of trying to get it more
Yeah.
concrete of exactly.
Yeah, no, I
what
understand, but
we
it's
can
the
or
nature of us having to go first, sometimes people go in front of conservation first and they come to us, sometimes it's reversed.
not. Okay,
So, anyway, all right, on the hours. All right, so Monday through Friday, we'll say starting at 10. I guess the question really comes down to, I think, if I'm reading the board correctly, either 8 or 9, so,
That's why I said 8:30.
I would even go with 10. I mean, if there's a problem, the neighbor's gonna talk to him, he's gonna address the problem and fix it. But if it's a continuing problem, we can come back, reopen the hearing and make a change.
I
It's a
think 10
special
is,
permit, we can do that.
I think 10 is too late.
I do too. I mean, that's why I was thinking that 9 is more appropriate. 8, in my opinion, was a little too early, and the fact of the matter is, in the
9
summer,
o'clock.
it's still daylight at 8 o'clock.
And people get out, if they're coming after work, it's probably like work ends maybe at 5 or 6 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we're good, 10 to
10
9?
to 9.
Okay, Monday to Friday is 10 to 9. Okay. Weekend.
I think it should be the same.
Is there any reason not to be the same?
You said the last weekend hour was sometime in the afternoon, I guess, is that right?
Well, it's by appointment, it's pretty limited right now.
Yeah, it's by appointment right now. I would think that like a Friday and Saturday night, I would envision to have later potential hours.
So
than,
time
like,
out,
a Tuesday.
Friday is Friday, if that's that time slot, we're talking Saturday, Sunday now.
Right, I'm saying I would think Friday would be a similar to a Saturday as
He's trying
opposed
to
to
take
like a
Sunday
Tuesday.
to Thursday,
Oh, we can do that.
yeah, and it's Friday and Saturday would be the non-school.
I mean, you'd have later times on a Friday night and a Saturday night.
I would rather have I think it makes more sense to have a Friday, Saturday later times and then Sunday to Thursday. If we want to have it to 9, we could have it a little less and then.
I basically would keep it the same.
I would, yeah,
At
even
best,
10 o'clock, I
I mean,
think it's getting kind of late on a Friday or Saturday.
No, I'm fine keeping it the same.
Yeah.
All right,
So we'll keep it the same on the weekends?
Yep.
10 to 9.
all right, group classes in terms of the size. If I remember correctly, right now, your group classes tend to be, what, like 5 couples? 4 to 6? All right,
In general, yes. I would say what we did in our other space is once we had the space, I could figure out what made sense as far as like how many people made sense in the space, and then I would cap it at that number. I can't like quite do it yet, so I don't know like what I think like the max would be. I don't necessarily think there's a distinction between that and the party, especially because we'll often do like a tutorial, like group class, and then as like the first 45 minutes of the party.
all right, so my notes from September 9th have it, but private tends to be 1 to 2 people, group is 3 to 6. I think couples,
Mhm.
So that's 12, so maybe 15.
yeah, parties 20 max people.
So in couples it's 12 max, is that right?
Oh, sorry, yeah, the group lessons,
Group lessons.
yeah. So, I mean, I'm thinking either a cap at 10 or 12.
For group lessons?
Yeah.
12.
Yeah,
Any
I
issues?
actually wouldn't mind going a little higher just to allow
Yeah.
for some growth, but, 14 or 16, but, I'll go with group.
I can go a little higher.
I can go to 16.
Let's go 14.
Split the difference.
That would seem to work.
I'm just struggling to understand the rationale of having a difference in cap between like a party and a group class.
Well, a group class is something you pay admission, I'm assuming it's something you pay admission for.
It's the same thing. We just,
Okay, take me a step back.
so none of this,
How do you make money?
none of this we charge. This is all stuff we just happen to do. This is not like part
Oh,
of
you
our.
don't sign up for group lessons?
No, you don't sign up for group lessons, you don't sign up for parties, like, people aren't paying us money for these. These are just things that we do because we value our students.
So what's the difference between a group class and a social event or a party?
So like, a group class would be, you have a teacher, some or two, like Lynn and I taught it together. We would like, it would be like, all right, we're going to work on some waltz. We're gonna do some waltz steps,
Yeah,
or we're gonna work on like arm styling technique. Whereas like a party, we'll be like, all right, everybody grab your next partner for a foxtrot. And we would just like, kind of like play the music, and it's like, we literally call it a practice party.
But do you have, okay,
So is it a membership?
No,
Like, how are people?
well, let me ask you this, for a group lesson, is it one of those where it's like, people have to sign up at a party, like it, I guess I'm trying to distinguish the two. The way I envision this is that a group lesson is, we've got 10 slots, or 5 couples, all right, first 5 to sign up, we're doing it, as opposed to a party, which is, hey guys, we're throwing a social event on Friday night, everyone's welcome, please RSVP without sort of a cap. That's the way I sort of distinguish the two.
so it's.
And if I'm wrong, you can tell me.
No, it's
okay.
actually, you're quite close. That's kind of how it is for both of them. How you're thinking of the party is kind of like how it is for both of them. We do ask people to sign up for the group classes and the parties ahead of time, but it's just, it's not because they pay money to like sign up for it, or they're not signing up for like, all right, you're purchasing like a 5-week group series or anything. It's just so that we can figure out who's coming. And then if nobody signs up for a group class, maybe we just cancel the group class, or we put a private lesson there.
So generally, how many people would show up for a group lesson?
Group lesson, I would say maybe 20 or so.
Same like a party.
Similar, well, because I'm thinking a lot of times we'll have a group class right before the party. So then if a lot of those people or most of those people end up coming.
So I'm sorry, Andy. I was just gonna say, like, as long as we have some restriction on the closing time, I guess I don't think we need to make a distinction in numbers between a group lesson and a party.
I'm still struggling putting numbers on anything when we don't have.
Well, so if I could just, let me get some clarification. So you're offering for when you charge people, you can either have an individual, you can have a couple, or you can have a group. Is that your offering, that you would actually charge someone to do a dance lesson for?
Close.
So tell me what the offerings are, please.
Sure. So we have just private lessons that you can show up as a single person, or you can show up as a couple.
Okay,
And that is what we charge people for.
okay.
That's it.
So everything else is superfluous. It's at your discretion when you want to do it, and whoever wants to come based on whatever criteria or constraints is how you facilitate that session.
Yes.
Is it a monthly membership fee? I'm sorry, I don't mean going into the
No, no,
business
no,
yet,
no.
but like, okay, so I call you up, I go, I want dance lessons.
Yes.
Come on over, pay you $50 or
You
whatever.
pay
and
for
have
the
it in your
private
lesson.
lessons,
Okay,
and that's it. If you take 2 lessons a week, you take 1 lesson a week. Most people take 1 or 2 a week. Some people do
Okay.
more, some people less, but
And so if there's a group lesson, it's like, it's extra. I can just, oh, great, that's something extra.
Yeah,
I
if you
do.
can come, come. If you
Okay.
can't, don't worry about it. It doesn't cost anything extra. So as much as they can come.
So it's like one is structured with instruction and one is just like.
We'll still structure the group classes
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But there's really no distinction
for between,
between your group and your party. I'm
Oh,
trying to.
not,
one
food,
is-
I mean,
Food?
Well,
yeah,
okay,
maybe
but
we'll
other
put-
than that, why are we trying to articulate
Yeah.
that
I put
level of
some-
granularity?
yeah, we put up
Because I've
some,
gone to 3 meetings where I thought there was a distinction.
Well, now there seems like there's no distinction between a group and a social event.
Changes every time.
So maybe food.
yeah, like, well, let me
But-
put like some like cookies out and
But
like,
that's got nothing to do with the duration or the number of people. So if you wanna serve food, you serve food. If you don't, you don't. But if
Right.
there's 10 people that are allowed, then there's only 10 people allowed, whether it's a group this or a party that.
right,
I can't make a distinction. It sounds like it's an event, whatever that event you wanna call it, there's only one.
Yeah.
So you got paid for, or you got a group event.
yeah,
Those are the-
I'd say that would be a reasonable assessment of it.
I want to back into this a different way. There are 26 spots in the writing room. I think it's a writing room. Is that right?
Yeah.
It is, okay. So, someone said a corral before, so I think it's correct. Right. Are we okay allowing all 26, or do we want to cut it down? If we want to cut it down, what's the number? And go back into it.
It
that way.
holds 26, that's fine with me.
26.
And then I think you just make it, we need to say to whatever that capacity part is.
All right, I'm just working on cars.
What- Yeah, 26 cars,
I mean,
period.
I prefer 20, but I won't create a war over it, so.
I think if the plans fits and it's meeting, meets the requirements, it makes sense to decrease it.
I suppose a lot of it's governed by how many people you can fit in the barn anyway. I mean, if you can
Yeah.
fit, those 26 parking space people into a barn, okay.
So worst case, if you said there's 16 people is where you limit the capacity at, so worst case is everybody comes in an individual car, right? So that's your high water mark.
I mean, I guess the question is, are we willing to allow, 52 people in that barn?
I think that's
That's,
most likely no.
Well, exactly, so basically, again, as you're saying, the limiting number is the number of people we're gonna allow in the barn.
That's what I'm going, like, it's
Yeah.
fine saying there's 26 parking spots, but I think we should designate it.
I know, I'm trying to like work this backwards, so that we don't just
Yeah.
keep circling around.
Yeah, so if it's, and again, there are instances where people will come in separate cars.
Right.
So.
Well, they
if
come in a
we're-
group.
the last number I heard for
In both
number of
ways.
people is 16, so. Then there may be instructors who show up as well.
Mhm.
Because I believe I saw you had instructors that worked with you or worked for you.
At some point, yeah.
yeah.
We've
Uh,
downsized recently.
Yeah,
the last
so
couple of years.
are we talking maybe? That's where I came up with the 20.
Yeah.
Is basically, whatever number we have plus instructors.
Should we decide first on the barn capacity and then we can go back to the?
No, I'd rather just start with parking, because we have a 26 number here, frankly, which is less than I thought it was gonna be.
It is,
And so,
it is low, cause I asked them just to make it whatever. We can realistically, you can fit a lot more in there.
We're not gonna go out and count them.
Right. There's gonna be a lot more that you can fit, but.
all right, so I hear 20 or I hear 26?
I think 26, and to me, as long as it's saying,
Okay.
yeah, it
The
sounds
one
like.
thing that I would have, we'd have to go through this, is that I want a line in the decision that indicates that, that's got, that, at least what I would ask for, people who disagree with me, that the parking should be primarily there. Like, ideally, I like it centered, in there, rather than like the use of the driveway.
Right.
I mean, friends come over, that's different, that's what everyone uses a driveway for. But if there's lessons, even if it's 5 people have come over for lessons, you could put 5 cars in that driveway.
Yeah.
But I think we should put something in there that like the primary, parking should be used, should be in the riding
spaces,
ring,
yes.
regardless of the number of people.
I
Yeah,
think that
we're
makes
not gonna
sense
be
for
able to.
egress.
I understand that, but at the same time, like, I think it's important to put that.
I also think it's a safety thing.
Yeah,
Yes.
it makes sense for egress.
Especially if we're going with 26 cars, we don't want them backed up on the driveway.
Okay, all right, so we got that. I'm at the point where I don't think trying to break this down between the groups and the social stuff is gonna be manageable, frankly. Based on the information we've heard today. And so I don't wanna, frankly, I don't wanna do that because I just think it's gonna be, there's gonna be no way to enforce it.
Yeah, I'm not sure how we
in-
distinguish it after what I'm hearing now.
in a consistent way, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather, how many group classes do you have in a month?
Well, we haven't had them in over a year.
Well, okay, well, all right.
We're waiting to get this and,
But prior to recently.
So realistically, would you have more than one a week?
in recent years, we've had like 1 or 2 a week in general.
So there's 4, 5 a month.
And then, but before like COVID, when I was able to do more, I tried to do like 1 group class Monday through Friday.
So 5.
Yeah, and they're usually after hours, right?
Usually, between either 6:45 or 7:30.
Yeah.
Is what the group classes generally are.
So that's no big deal with that.
Yeah, parties.
Does it make sense to just put something kind of very vague to begin with? As, like, for instance, granting of group, lessons and then just what you were saying before, like designate it to health board and those other boards to sort out what the capacity is on it?
I don't think the board's on the foot. I don't think the board will help get into.
We'll end up shooting ourselves in the foot.
How so?
Well, because we leave it vague and then there's a lot of questions.
I mean, there should be just some plain safety stuff for the,
Or also thinking in terms of like noise, for the health and the.
oh, true.
And the.
Right. I think I'm assuming because of the size of it, it's gonna decrease.
I don't think it's going to.
No, okay, so maybe that's a wrong assumption.
So just generally speaking, for capacity, it shouldn't be as a max 25
Yes.
unless they want to install a public water supply.
Okay,
Which
that
would
makes
be
sense.
about a 2-year process.
Okay.
I don't know the ins and outs of a public water supply, but I know that if there's more than 25 people in a 60-day period in a calendar year, it requires a public water supply.
Could you repeat that? 25 people cumulative?
At one time,
One time.
Okay.
one time over,
A 24-hour period.
yeah,
For 60 consecutive days.
not consecutive,
Oh,
60 days over a calendar.
Just even like one time, even in any one
No,
day,
60 times within the year.
So Michael,
60 times in a year over 25 people.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is that a reg, or is that just kind of in practice?
Title 5.
Title
Is
V,
it Title V?
the sanitary code.
So that's helpful, because that just gives 25, now we know.
Yeah, because how are we gonna enforce how many times there's gonna be people over?
We're not enforcing business.
That's not our job to enforce.
That's what Frank's job is. 60 times in a calendar year, that's 4 times a month, that's a week.
And then I know for like events of, and I don't know if this is, however, but like when you're on farms, if you're throwing, hosting events, there's certain, things for porta potties and stuff based on capacity.
And he's got bathroom plans, which aren't really within our jurisdiction.
Right.
So that's gonna be a Board of Health issue
Okay,
they don't have to deal with.
because I think that's again gonna be.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's absolutely gonna limit things.
Right.
So, I mean, ultimately, the way it's gonna work is that frankly, between us, the Board of Health, the fire chief, like, you might end up with 3 different numbers. Ultimately, whoever's the lowest, that's gonna be the governing one.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
So we could go with the number 25 people. I mean, that seems to be a reasonable safety number to say. That's actually a hard number.
Well, as long as it meets the other boards, obviously.
I could,
Neighborhood, I think 20 is a better number.
Yeah. I'm thinking 20 myself, so.
now, would you do it? Guess I realize I'm complicated. It's like multi-factor algebra.
Probably know me.
Yeah, exactly, there you go. Yeah, what your X's and your Y's. And do you cap it like beyond individual lessons, like how many nights a week? Or how many
nights a week it would be up to 20 or?
Yeah, or do we not, do we not go down? You see where I'm going? Where it's like you'd have individual lessons anytime you want between 10 to 9.
Sure.
And
how many times could you
Right,
go up?
but beyond individual lessons, whether it's a group lesson or a party, whatever name you want to slap on it.
I think no way you can determine the size of a group. You could have a group of 20.
Well, that's true, right.
Yeah, I mean,
Should we
Same
get
with
into
party.
limiting the individual lessons at all? This is for the group lessons here, right?
Yeah.
Because
Was group lessons, parties, whatever, it's anything beyond an individual lesson. I can't characterize it.
It's a non-paid event is what it is.
That's right. It's a non-paid event.
yes, but be careful, because
Yeah,
those
I'm not sure
non-paid
it
events
matters.
could become paid at some point.
That's true, however.
And then that's where the maximum numbers come in, and the maximum times per whatever period. I mean, so.
Yeah, no, I wasn't attempting to, I was trying to classify the two different
Yeah,
offerings.
okay.
One's a paid
Yeah.
offering and one is a not paid offering.
Right.
And the
okay.
not paid offerings are the one that's the variable, right? That comes and goes and may have this, you may have that.
Right.
Set a limit on the head count and whatever those are, you do it, right?
Right.
You're gonna have individual lessons, they're gonna pay for them, however many you can book in a day or a week, fine, knock yourself out. And if you're gonna have group lessons of whatever these other things are gonna be called, you can only have these many people
Yeah,
over these many hours.
Sounds good.
But I guess the question is, how many nights a week can you have, say, 20 people? Is that every night?
He'd burn out. People too, they can't continue partying like that.
Okay,
No,
well,
I don't even
I mean,
like the party.
it's a reasonable thing.
I mean, I'm thinking like maybe, if there's gonna be like a group of, say, 20 people that say Thursday through Sunday would be like a reasonable number of times to do that.
So it all comes down to, are you gonna sit at the front door and click the people in and out? No, so you can't adjudicate that, or you can't measure it unless somebody's gonna be there and watch people coming and going. So there's gotta be a trust factor here, there's gotta be some limits, and there's gotta be some dimensions in how the operation runs. Once you establish that, and if it becomes a nuisance, then we address it.
Agreed.
All right. Oh, sorry.
No, I mean, I agree with what you're saying, it's just, yeah, so let's figure out those numbers.
All right,
think
so
so.
I've heard 20, I've heard 25.
20.
Yeah, 20.
20 is good.
Well, I think. I hate to be like this, but I would say like 22.
I like round numbers.
The other part-
I'm gonna take the chair. Go
I just wanna point out, we're saying 20, but those other boards haven't weighed in.
Oh, I understand.
That's
Yeah, yeah,
out
yeah,
of
yeah.
our control.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
out of our
yeah, that's-
control, we have
yeah,
nothing to do.
Just so that people aren't getting too ahead of the.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, actually, if it's gonna be every evening, I actually am more
Okay.
comfortable with 20.
Yeah.
all right, so if we're doing 20, are we gonna cap the number of times per week, per month? Or
Well, I would, again, we're talking about a residential neighborhood. And so, we're gonna have 20 people until 9 o'clock. So, it's unknown as to the degree of disturbance that'll be based on that.
All right, so I understand the proposal.
Actually was not doing everything, when I was thinking about it, I wasn't even thinking weekly, to be very honest. I'm based on the communication, I do see that it's an important part of his business. I've done it more than once a week, seems, it could be excessive, depending on, again, because there may only be two families with children in that neighborhood.
That doesn't make a difference. I mean.
Okay, well, I'm saying-
Only because like
I'm
the age of the people doesn't make a difference. People are gonna move in. they'll move
Yeah,
out.
exactly. So I'm thinking, maximum once a week is where I'm falling right now.
It's fine.
For 20 people, in other words, on that.
Yes.
high end.
Non-individual lessons.
Yeah.
Ernie, Andy, thoughts?
I have no problem with doing it.
Yeah,
So I don't think you set a limit on it.
I would go with
my original thought was Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday and Sunday are fine.
You know, his basically his structure is like a class and a lab. The class teaches them to do it, in the lab they experience, test it,
Yeah.
and there's only so much testing people can do. They can't. Once a week is not enough. You know, if it's in fact if it's during at 6 to 7 or 8 o'clock at night, it'd be fine. We do it every night, and we have concerns about noise, and we have some issues to address that too. So I don't see where we need to put a limit on it.
What about Lanny's idea of capping the days?
Thursday through Sunday.
If, I guess one compromise that I could see is that, since he has been saying that he does it, it's, between 6:30 and 7:15 or whatever that time is. I think that's a reasonable hour for something like this. So I'd be much more, feeling much more flexible if we were to limit the time range that could occur in.
The group,
Yeah, the group.
or
activities.
party, or whatever.
Well, we did say up to 9 o'clock, so there's,
Well, I'm saying
Earlier in the
earlier in the,
I'll have the.
typically, you said 6:15 or 6:30 to.
Usually the group classes, if I were to have what I would consider a full schedule of group classes, it would be one group class a night, Monday through Friday, with those group classes ranging from beginning at 6 and ending at 9 is what I've typically done in the past, and then a party on like a Friday night.
But it's just a group class, so you make that distinction, but there's
Oh,
no
yeah,
distinction.
you're right, yeah,
No.
so that would still be in the 6 to 9 range. So I would do group classes and parties, the non-paid, the
I
events.
think
I
you
would do
take
the
the word
events.
parties out of the discussion, you just call it either.
Events, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the events, it's usually 6 to 9. Occasionally it's run in the past to 9:45 on a very, very limited basis, but it's usually somewhere to 6 to 9. With the most group classes, I personally like it at 7:30, but I have had it range 6 to 9.
All right, I'm just gonna throw it out as a compromise. We do twice a week. I think you're right. There's no way he's gonna be able to pull it off 7 days a week, but I think 1 day a week is way too limiting.
We talking about the group class?
Yes.
Yeah.
The events, whatever you want to call
Events, whatever you call
it.
them.
So, and he can manage as best he can. No offense.
2 nights a week.
Yeah,
So-
basically from his hours as he chooses.
Sure.
Okay.
I think that's close to shutting it down. But
That's,
Well, time out. So if I got the math correct, according to what you've said, you only have paying customers up until 6 o'clock at night. All the rest of that is non-revenue generating time.
For when it's group event stuff, yes.
Right, but you did that every night, you said.
Yeah, not from 6 to 9. It was a 45-minute block in that 3-hour span would be like a group event.
I'm seeing that as paid time because it's students. So to me, it's all the same thing.
No, he's not charging for group events.
I'm sorry. Now I'm really confused. I'm sorry. I thought.
So what I heard him say is we have paid classes,
Yes.
and then those typically go till 6:30, 7 o'clock, and then from 6:30, 7 o'clock was a group event. So group events are,
So is that true? There are typically no individual lessons after 6 or 6:30?
So group classes typically run till 9 or 10. And then
but when do they start?
depends on the day, usually 1.
A group
Oh,
lesson?
So group lesson?
No,
So, no,
I'll
so let's,
start from the beginning.
yeah, let's start from your profile of your daily operation. You start paid classes from here to here, and then you start a group event from here to here.
Perfect. All right. So most of our paid private lessons are Monday through Friday from 1 to 10, for the most part. Then for the group events, we will pick roughly 1 45-minute slot within the business hours that will be a group event, with the exception of a party would be
We don't have
longer.
parties anymore.
But, so I would say a 45-minute event, Monday through Friday, that falls between 1 and 10. Normally it happens between beginning at 6 and ending at 9, but not 3 hours, a 45-minute block.
So you
either.
do have paid customers during that duration?
Yes,
There's sandwiched in there.
yeah, so I may have
That's-
a group,
Okay.
I may have a group class at 6 to 6:45, an event, and then at 6:45, I teach a private lesson.
Okay. And do those people go away?
The group, the event,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's private lesson.
Yeah, that's, I'm just trying to get some clarity. I'm just trying to get some clarity.
Given that, I would personally rather see the group event end no later than 8. So, you know,
That would make sense. Okay,
so our events do run, all of our lessons are on 45-minute blocks. So it goes like from 7:30 to 8:15, so the same day would be 8:15 is when like that lesson
I mean,
ends.
you can, within the
Yeah.
hours we give you, you can choose whatever
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
side you want to start it by hand. I mean, we're not gonna worry about that, so.
okay, so the proposal, it sounds like, is for non-individual lessons, we'll define it however we want. There's a cap at a max of 20 patrons. 20 individuals. No limit on the number per week, but they have to end by 8 o'clock. That's what I'm hearing?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
What happened to the 2 that you had?
I had just thrown that out there, but
I just want to know.
No, that's fine, but that was also before, I mean, I thought these things take place like, a couple times a week, not every single day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to compromise, I'm trying to balance between both, the neighborhood concerns, for example, that you've brought up, dealing with the car issues, but at the same time also, acknowledging the fact that we're not trying to like, frankly, kill the business.
Right,
You know what I mean?
I would go just for Friday, Saturday and Sunday till 9. Well, Friday and Saturday anyway, till 9.
People still.
I think please, I'm gonna ask the members of the public to please be quiet. Thank you. I think from my perspective, I think it's just from consistency basis, it's just easier, but I mean, I'll leave it up to this.
Yeah, I mean, I would just leave it alone, just to 8 o'clock, and then, I mean, again, it doesn't seem like it matters exactly when it occurs. It's just gonna occur in it's 45 minutes, and that's
Yeah.
up.
So groups can occur between 10 and 8, and private lessons can go up to 9. Right?
I still think part of the nature is even like as people are hearing it. Because I think there's like some kind of envisioning of things. I think these other things are gonna end up limiting it more.
Then let them limit it,
Yeah,
you
just
know?
putting that out.
No, I hear you, so,
Yeah.
okay. Okay. So then the only other things to think about
So,
would, go ahead.
okay, the noisy things.
Yeah,
the-
there you go.
End up by 8. Individual lessons, which won't have the same noise associated, end up at 9.
Right.
So the neighborhood should be pretty free from noise by 9 o'clock.
Okay, are there other things that we want to talk about in terms of, say, lighting or noise?
Noise.
Go.
I think the barn should be soundproof on the exterior walls, especially the one next to the property and on the other side. And no windows,
Yeah, and doors, but, doors closed,
door closed and all that. So we try to contain the sound.
No window.
They don't have windows, do you? Do you have windows in the
Yeah,
barn?
he's got windows in.
Don't want them open anyway. Do you have any windows on the property line side?
I think you'd be creating a trap. if you
Yes.
remove
I
windows.
I
don't
was gonna
think,
say,
I
yeah.
don't think we can limit opening the window, I think that's a safety thing.
Well, you can open them, but they need to be closed when you're.
You need to be able to open them. They don't need to.
Yeah,
be
right,
open.
right, they have to be able to.
I will say that soundproofing is, in and of itself is like a very expensive thing that like not many places like have, like actual sound, just if we're putting things in the words, it would be impossible to soundproof it. If we like say soundproof, the precautions that we have gone through is, what we do have is what it's going to be is it's going to have an R19 and which is what we need for like the building inspector, it needs to be R20. Right, so that's the code, but what we're going to do is we're going on the two sides that have neighbors. What we're going to do is we're gonna put on top of the R49, on top of the R19, we're gonna put R49, and then after we put the R49, we're going to put 1-inch foam boards, which is an additional R4. So these walls will be R72, I believe, and that's what in effect is like soundproofing, but like that'll completely like eliminate the noise, but soundproofing in itself is like
except for our insulation and everything, there's no structure between the two other than the material itself. Like you don't have a wall connecting to the outside wall.
Right.
so it's
If you can isolate the inside, the outside wall from what's occurring inside, so there's no solid structure between the outside, like you can put two walls up.
mhm.
That and insulation in between, and they're not connected except for the insulation lying in there. That provides soundproofing.
Right.
Yes, okay, yeah,
Okay.
that's absolutely, I was just thinking for clarification of
Okay.
like a soundproofing to like a full soundproof.
Noise mitigation.
A noise yeah, I was just.
No, I
making
didn't
that clear.
expect you to do that.
Okay,
Just say some reasonable measures to isolate what's going on inside from
Yes,
outside walls.
so for the code, the sides need to be R20, they will be R72, specifically with inch foam boards, specifically
Okay.
for the noise canceling.
Okay.
I don't see any reason not to put that specifically in the decision. Put that in the decision. We'll hold you to it.
And the other thing is air conditioning. If you put in air conditioning, you must provide a low noise air conditioner. The building inspector can help you with what that is and isolate it also, surround it or something to keep the noise contained. It's a good unit itself, but also a structure around a solid cement block structure or something to attenuate the noise, and noise basically goes in space.
Same thing with an issue about a generator. I don't know if there'd be a generator involved here at all.
No plans for a generator,
Generator doesn't bother me as much because it won't be using except if it's a power failure and everybody will be.
nobody will be dancing if it's power outage.
Alright, lighting? If I remember correctly, the only exterior lights that I remember correctly from the site visit, that they were already there. And if I remember correctly, actually face the street. There are the walkway lights that are kind of those solar powered.
He has his solar power around his
That's right.
corral.
Yeah, well, it does need some lighting around the walkway for safety.
If some of them were already there, I remember seeing them going down a little like.
Right, but I think those were all solar,
Right.
and whether that'd be adequate, I don't know.
His walkway has got a problem too. He's got to handle it in the wintertime. How's it get plowed or shoveled or whatever? So you got to provide good footing for the people.
Of course.
You don't want them to break their neck on the way to their dance.
Right, I mean, he's gotta obviously comply with the lighting law in terms of lumens and lighting.
One of the things that we could think about is something explicit, I'm sorry, this is over there and I forgot, but essentially that like beyond the exterior lighting that currently exists on the barn, that's been there forever, make sure that there's a prohibition of any further exterior light attached to the barn. If there's any concern about that.
Has to comply with our existing bylaws.
Yeah, I think the existing bylaws would capture that, right?
Presumably, but we can,
There's no additional lighting on the barn itself.
yeah, I don't see a reason,
That'd be okay. As long as there's enough lighting on the walkway for people.
Yeah.
To
I
get.
didn't see that light, like the existing lighting when I was there
it
was.
was,
wrong.
if you stand in front of the barn, it's like, it's
I
way
did
up,
see it.
yeah, it's way up high, yeah, it's like one of the standard spotlights that, I've got at my house.
Mhm.
One other thing. There should be no leasing of the barn for other events. It's strictly
Outside
our
purpose.
issues.
That's a good one. Thank you. I hadn't thought about that. Okay.
And we should also put in something there, it's a liquor license that liquor should be served to.
Is that state law?
Yeah, but just remind him of it. I know he's aware of it.
Yeah, you gotta get a one-day liquor
I
license.
don't think that's our purview.
I don't think that, I don't think-
Okay.
yeah, I don't think that's
Okay.
that falls in the category of follow
Select-
all laws, regs and
Right.
whatnot.
Board of Health,
Exactly.
Selectmen.
that too.
One thought I had is, there were comments about that road being a little bit dangerous. Is there a benefit of maybe trying to see if, putting a convex mirror up there at the exit of the
That's it.
parking area? I mean, I don't know if that's.
That's something for kids.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
The light is the night?
No, but
Okay.
at night, at least you're gonna see headlights from, during the day, you're not. It was just a thought, so.
Police, okay.
I'm not hurt if you don't wanna go there. So,
All right, are we? Let me just check my notes. I apologize, we talked about that. Any comments or issues from town staff that we have not addressed that you feel like we should have?
I think having a working definition of group classes and events would be helpful for a decision. Or just saying, or if you wanted to say group classes and events are imply the same thing. Just,
So just take the nomenclature out. It's an event or an event,
okay,
or there's a lesson.
okay.
Right, a lesson is.
Is it paid for?
Is an individual or a couple.
Right.
A paid for individual or couple.
lesson,
Lesson.
Trying to avoid using the word, yeah.
training,
Yeah.
activity.
Anything else is an event. A group lesson is an event. We gotta pick a word. So anything else is an event.
Paid or otherwise.
I wouldn't even say it.
Okay, that's fine.
So a group or couple, or a individual or couple paying for dance instruction.
They structure.
Yeah.
Thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Perfect. Is it in here? We want to make it clear that everything's got to be inside.
Yes,
All-
yeah.
All instruction, that's.
Yeah, all instruction, yeah, that should be it. So,
So the facilities, then the structures and the property. So they can do it in their own house or.
well, yeah, if you keep doing it, you can keep doing it in your house, that's fine stuff. All right, so just check my.
I think we should also put in the statement, we want to review it every year.
Special permit, then we have the right to do that, right?
Yep.
Right.
Right, it is inherent in the permit, but if you want to
Put it in
articulate
writing.
it, yeah. put it in
Okay.
review, like, yeah.
All right, maybe just an acknowledgement.
We just haven't done that previously.
Yeah.
Is that,
We've done it on other things like dog place, we insisted every year we can review it.
The kennel.
Kennel. It's before your time.
right?
Makes sense, because that would probably be noisy, right?
The airport, is that in there too? Probably is. I don't know.
I don't remember about the airport or so.
So do you want it to
Well, it's
be,
not an airport anymore. That's not right.
do you want it to say the board reserves the right to review the special permit annually?
Yeah, it's
Well,
according
we
to
just
9.
reserve the right to have the prerogative that's stated already as what we have capability to do. I mean, it's inherent in the special permit that the board has the ability to conduct the review.
9.9, maintenance of special permit, a periodic review, at least annually, shall be constructed by the special permit granting authority to ensure compliance with the conditions imposed within the special permit.
And we did do that with the dog kennel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I scrolled right past it. Yeah, I think the key is to make it an acknowledgement. We're not imposing a new condition because it already exists. I think we're just simply acknowledging what we can already do. Does that make sense?
Do you want that to be a finding then, or a condition?
What's that?
It's reference to 9.
Oh,
Not a finding.
Condition,
it's a condition.
or just to state the fact that
It's got to fall into something. I would actually, know what I would do?
What would you do?
I wouldn't put it in a finding. I would actually put it at the end here. Like as its own, like,
As the last.
Yeah.
condition.
yeah. So, I mean, right, like here, where I say the board is compliant with all etc. I would actually like add it as a free floating line under it.
Okay.
Because everything under here is an acknowledgement of things that are happening. And so if we can just stick it there, I think that's the way to do it. Does that make sense? Okay, thank you.
So it's going with the end of this?
Yeah, basically like after the findings, there's a whole list of what happens
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah,
And I would put it in
Alright,
there,
right.
like how it's gonna lapse after 2 years. So I
Right.
would say, I would stick it in there, because all of those things are just acknowledgements of what the rules are.
Yes, okay, good. Yeah, thank you.
All right. Is there anything else to discuss?
Well, the capacity inside the barn, well, I guess.
That's
we
very
already
different.
we already dealt with that.
Not revisit.
Okay. Did
Um,
deal with that with the numbers.
okay. Is there anything else within this, like, is there anything else within the draft decision?
Yeah, I didn't.
Well, there is one thing though, about
Please.
the barn, he's gonna have like an upstairs, like for, people to like congregate.
Yeah.
And is that area gonna be exactly the same as the first floor, or is it gonna be partial?
Yeah,
Because I'm thinking in terms of just.
It's partial. It's meant, it's a balcony that you can look down.
Yeah, so,
I think that's up to the fire department though.
Oh, in terms of the safety?
Yeah.
That's a fire chief issue.
Okay.
Definitely not.
He'll
ours.
definitely have a thought on that.
Yeah, in terms of the number of people who can be up there,
There
because
it
my
is.
guess is that the maximum capacity of the barn is gonna be much higher than what can be upstairs.
yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah, there's gonna be a weight issue and a numbers issue.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But not our purview.
Okay.
But our purview says 25 or 20, right, for the entire
Yep.
barn.
Right.
So we could have, if it's 20 people upstairs, 0 people would be downstairs.
Yeah, we're talking buildings, we're not talking floors. Okay. All right, do we want to go through this to make sure there's nothing else we're missing, or?
Well, it's not here, but
Fire. safety.
Yeah, I mean, the decision always, that's right, I mean, it's always, you gotta follow everything else that has to be done, that standard, so. All right, there's a previously distributed draft that's gonna be extremely heavily edited based on what we discussed tonight, but at least through the,
well, this hearing needs to be closed, right?
well, we can say, take a look at this.
No, I'm just saying, that's another thing that we're gonna facilitate.
Yes, yes,
The hearing will, yeah.
Yeah.
But it can remain open while you review a draft.
Yeah, clearly, yeah.
all right, I'm just gonna, so pages 1, 2, 3. Let's go to 3, up until findings. Any edits or comments? This is just a list of all the documents we received today. I'm assuming these are all correct. And Michael, just to make sure, this also includes what was received most recently.
Correct.
Okay, great.
you've got some rearranging about events and parties and the words are used, so we have to combine them.
Right, so, all right, let's, findings 1 through 4. Knock that out real quick.
Oh, just as a general thing, I started doing it, but I didn't finish. It should be that it's all present tense, as in like applicant proposes instead of applicant proposed. So I have to change that throughout the entire, but
We appreciate your attempt at consistent grammar. We're good with 1 through 4. 5. Any comments?
Again, the things I'm saying is, obviously, we're changing everything to events, so
Yeah,
that
yeah.
changes some of the wording.
Yeah, right, okay. So then, so for 6 and 7, understand student uses. 7 can stay the same. Right, yeah, I propose to continue offering individual and couple ball and dancing instruction, that's correct. 6 is gonna completely reworded.
1 to, I'd say 1 to 5 events per week. And
Yes.
and just leave it at that.
Yeah, but don't we have to define events at one point? If this is the first time we're talking about it, this would be the opportunity to do so.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if there's gonna be
Yeah,
definitions about.
We can just put it, the declaration here in the appendix or whatever the definitions are, right? So pick a word and then we'll just put the definition in the appendix.
Is it fair to say that an event is anything that is not an individual or couple dance instruction?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, perfect, okay.
We've already gone
So-
through the whole idea. Yeah.
Right, so my suggestion is
Just
that,
take out the word social event.
I was actually gonna say, I would delete 6 and just have 7 say, the applicant proposed to continue offering individual and couple ballroom dancing instruction. The applicant also proposed to offer other events. I think we can just say it like that,
Yeah, because we went through this, there's really no difference apparently between these group
right,
instructions and these parties.
right,
Yeah. So
yeah,
we call them events, group events.
yeah,
And then just say events are defined as any activity that is not individual or, more
couple
structured.
dance instruction.
During normal hours of operation.
I don't know if I have to say
It could
that.
be the way it is, and just at the end in our conclusions that events and,
Right, but everything's gonna be during normal
parties
operations.
or
Read that
events.
other section,
Well, I think that's gonna change.
other events. Read other events.
This is how you present it.
What page is that?
Yeah, that's how you present it, and that's what they reflect. And at the end, for the conclusion, you can say that the events and parties are one and the same, the others do occur between 10 and 8 o'clock. And the other instructions do not. And you don't change it.
Oh, yeah, those aren't allowed anymore.
I'm sorry, say that one more time. So can you just repeat that?
Read. What is in the first part that we were just going over, where he defines events and parties? That's how it was presented. However, in our discussion today,
Oh, I
in our
understand. Yes.
decisions, we can say there's one and the same, and they're
That's a
limited
good point,
to.
I'm sorry, you're absolutely right, yeah, okay.
Oh, sure.
so are we keeping 6 then?
Yeah, because Ernie makes a good point about, like, this section is more about what was proposed previously as opposed to what we're deciding tonight. Right. So, okay. All right, so 6 and 7 are staying the same. Anything for 8 through 11? So,
Well, yeah, on number 10, I think we said,
no, this is just what he's asked for, not what we're deciding.
All the same, from 8 through 11, I
Yeah.
don't see any change to any of that.
Yeah.
We could update the parking because he provided
So
us
on number
update.
10, is that the correct time, Ings, that we agreed to?
No,
No, it's not what we
that's what
agreed to, it's what was asked
Oh,
for.
sorry.
Yeah.
On the parking, we can update that to say that recent update shows that there's 26 places.
I think that's in the red line.
It's on there.
It's in the red line already, okay.
We already got that.
Okay, so that's already there.
16, 17, 18.
Wait, just on 13, in terms of the parking spaces, doesn't that change? in terms
Yeah,
of
the last, look at the red
Look at the
line.
red line.
Yeah,
It's already there.
Sorry.
End of the
I
paragraph.
seen it earlier, I just found it.
Okay, 16, 17, 18.
Just to back up, sorry. Just a question on 15. Doesn't it now already doesn't it already match the zoning bylaw anyway? For the parking?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
So saying like no new parking area is created there for section 774 isn't applying?
He's not creating a new parking area.
Okay.
He's just using.
Existing.
Anything to the lighting? I think it's fine.
We maybe I should have the statement that if lighting is added, it must comply to the bylaw. That's,
Is that a finding?
oh, yeah.
Right, so we're still.
Okay, no, we're still.
Okay.
So, all right.
That's most of
And,
it.
yeah, anything else on page 5? It's gonna be there's 19 through
No.
30.
No.
All right. Anything on page 6? All right. We tackle page 7. All right, so the hours are 10 to 9, right? Okay. Number 2, 3, 4. I think are basically removed and replaced with the statement concerning basically the definition of an event, breaking down like single and couple instruction, and then everything else. And then,
You need to review all these, right?
yeah, and then, yes, that's where that's gonna go, as well as the fact that the ladder is capped at 8 PM instead of 9. Okay. I assume number 5 is okay? About sort of incidental events. Let's throw a birthday party for his kid.
Yeah.
It's not covered by this. Okay. 6, parking capped at 26. And I think we can just indicate it has to be compliant with the plan that was submitted. 9 is fine, I assume, but no outdoor amplification of music. Okay, that's right, yeah. And actually, though, the way the red line reads right now, it says there must not be any outdoor amplification of music for either group dance classes nor social parties. I would just say no amplification of music, period. I mean, it would be odd to have an amplification of music for a single dance lesson, but let's just be safe.
So let's make sure we're talking about the business, not individual use.
Yes, there's not be any outdoor amplification music, for purposes of business. That's right. If it's a Saturday barbecue or whatever, it's anyway to do that. As long as it's compliant with the noise. Okay, 10 that apply with it's lighted by law, signs. No parking on the road. Okay, 13. Okay. All right, everything else that's here looks fine.
Where's the walkway go? Are the definition of clarity about that?
Yeah, so sorry, what?
So we spoke about the way to egress from the parking. area.
Right, so I think everything I hear is okay, now we just need to add.
Yeah, okay, that's what I was asking.
All right, so. All right, so you wanna talk about the walkway?
Oh, well, maybe this does get into the walkway. My concern is about the walkway being well lit, you know, for
Right.
safety purposes, so, yeah, maybe that does, I was gonna say you should go back to lighting, but it could be on the walkway area, either way.
I mean, we could put it, wanna put it within 10? I mean, 10 right now talks about if it comply with the lighting bylaw. Or we can make it a separate one. Okay.
So there are two components of it, at least what the way I was thinking, is there's the lighting from, you know, point A to point B.
Right.
And then the terrain.
Oh,
So the
I see,
terrain
yeah.
itself is not really conducive to easily
Right, isn't it?
traversing, right?
Yeah.
So it's some way you need to be able to have, I don't know what the right word is.
Safely traverse.
Yeah, right.
He
So-
indicated something on the plan.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's a wiggly line.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, so that from a safety perspective, anytime, but predominantly at night, you know, you need to be able to walk down that.
All right, so,
Area,
you
and
know, the
then-
walkway's gotta be constructed in order to allow
Such a-
for an
right.
individual to reasonably,
Yeah.
you know,
Safe-
safely
safely,
traverse
yeah,
from
right.
the parking area to the barn.
Yeah,
Right.
because there is quite a distance between
Yeah,
that
right.
parking area and the barn.
You know, both with respect to lighting and with respect to,
Safety.
the incline or terrain.
Snow and ice.
But you could say that.
In terms of that, would you want anything submitted to the board? Or would you want that to be a plan modification?
I'd say that's a modification, because there's nothing on the plan that indicates anything to attend to that matter.
So what would you want that to, if you wanted to go that route, what would you want the deliverables to be?
I think that's getting into like, for instance, are we asking for pavers or?
We don't necessarily need to specify the material. More I'm thinking is if it's a plan modification, do you want to see a plan showing a pathway from the parking to the barn?
It is on there, right?
Yeah, it is.
It appears to be
Yeah.
there, we just don't define what it is.
Do you want it to, do you want, if there is lighting, do you want specification sheets submitted? Do you want,
So without over processing this, right? If you walk from the parking lot down to the barn, there's no defined path per se, right? I mean, if there is, it's really rough, right? So how do we make a statement that describes that condition needs to be satisfactory or improved to the extent that people can freely go back and forth without, you know, falling down and breaking their neck?
Technically, can we say it, because wouldn't that be it's making it to the plan? Because right now there isn't that path, right?
Right, this would be a modification or some adjustment to the plan.
I think for the lighting, I think as long as we have an appropriate description of what lights are gonna be used, that presumably would include the lumens.
Right, I think that's in the bylaw.
No, but I want it submitted to us.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sorry.
I think that's, as long as we can get something, that'll be fine.
And a cross section of what the path is going to be.
Okay.
Gravel, or I don't care what he puts in the gravel or blacktop or pavers or whatever, but it's got to be serviceable so people don't walk in it without mud, ice, and snow removal.
Slipping and falling or whatever, right?
so,
It's his problem because if someone falls, they're going to be suing. But,
so we're looking for a plan showing a cross section of the
path
pathway
from
and
the park.
specification sheets, specifically highlighting the lumens
And
for
maybe,
any that are proposed.
and if the steps are going to be included in it,
Does that
because
plan,
there's a drop.
does the plan need to be done by a professional engineer, or is it something that can be done by the applicant?
I don't think it's gonna be.
No, I don't think, I think a sketch would be fine.
I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
I don't know if there are ADA requirements for that, so it may be subject to building code.
That's an
So-
acceptable.
Should I say if the board would like a sketch unless a formal engineered plan is required pursuant to building code?
Could he ask the building commissioner what he needs to do for it?
Yeah, I think you can include a carve out that a sketch is fine unless otherwise required under applicable law, and you know, include the building code.
And you,
That way it's kind of covered either way.
and you would like that to go to this board for review and approval, or just for record keeping?
Yeah, we can approve it.
Review and approve.
Yeah.
Review it.
We go, yeah, we don't have.
No, but approve that it's been submitted.
Yeah,
Okay.
And like, if he ends up with like, you know, movie level, you know, spotlight.
You may have something to say about it.
Just for clarification, the site plan does indicate existing lights that I put in after you guys came. I just put, I can easily send you they're more solar lights, but it's,
Just send Michael the specs.
I can send you the specs, no problem, but I did put, like, that is highlighting, there is a path exactly where it's
Okay.
showing.
Yeah, we just want,
Between the
just,
parking lot and the barn.
Between the parking lot and the barn,
okay,
yeah.
yeah, so, you know.
Yeah, I'll send them my.
Even if you've checked it off already, then just send Michael the specs so we know what the lumens are and everything's fine.
My concern with the solar lights is that you get a long period of darkness, you know, cloudy days, solar lights won't work.
That's.
Not just, you know, if we're requiring lights, then we have to recognize that there may be points where the lights are not gonna turn on.
Yes.
Like today.
All right, the other one to add is,
But we do need sketches.
yes,
right?
yeah, yeah. Some noise mitigation,
Sketches for.
The
just-
pathway,
that's right, the walkway.
Okay, the site plan does show it.
it just shows the path,
It
it
just
doesn't
shows
show
the-
the detail.
It shows, from my understanding, it is showing, like, the exact,
Path.
like, there's
It's
like,
showing the-
there's poles there that are holding the lights.
Yeah,
Like,
but
showing
right, I think
are you
we're
gonna keep it grass?
those. The plan was, because it is just like, this was a, the initial plan was to keep it just part of the lawn, because it's like cutting through the lawn, but, I didn't want to create like a tar pathway, because again, it's just my backyard. But at the same time, I'm putting it in there and, putting some, right now, it's like just grass. So I wanna kind of find a good solution that keeps it still as part of my backyard, while also providing like decent traction for walking in bad weather.
I think if it's well lit and it's, you know, enough for traction, I don't think you should have to pave a, you know, pathway.
It can be stone dust, it can be gravel, it can be, but grass isn't gonna work in the wintertime, it's slippery. It freezes and you're not gonna get it off. And you don't wanna put salt on top of your grass.
Right, yeah.
There's stuff
Yeah.
called dead grade that's kind of like in between that, yeah, that stone dust and.
Yeah, so it'll be something like that, yeah.
So we need a sketch showing that.
Yeah.
Okay,
We need to add one about noise mitigation. I wanted to know that the two sides of the barn are gonna be at both sides, or 72. Okay.
Would it, my question is, could noise then go out the other two sides, and is that a problem to the board? Because if you're not putting any acoustic barrier on all of the sides, it won't necessarily give you.
Sounds like it'd have some, right, because it's all to that base code more than it's got now, but not to soundproofing, is that right?
What are you
All
gonna do to
sides
the
will
ends?
have,
all four sides?
all four sides will have, R19. Some parts will have the R49, and then it all should have the foam board.
How about the ceiling, the roof?
Yep, the ceiling is, has, what's called, it has a different foam thing, it's called a baffle, so it has a baffle in the R49.
Okay. So it basically has on all four sides.
Mhm.
So two sides are, sounds like 22.
Right.
Because of
Yes,
phone board, it's 4 or 3 or 4.
it's 19 plus 4. No releasing outside parties. That should be in there. No additional exterior lights to the barn other than what's there already. And
Sorry, can you repeat, no additional or?
oh, exterior lights other than what's there already.
To the barn, right?
To the barn, yeah.
On the bar.
As long as they comply with the bylaw.
Here's another issue, you know, we're talking about the ADA, do we have to put in any other additional ADA compliance here? I mean, I realize these are mobile people that are dancing, but
I don't think it's within, I don't think we need to put it
That's a
specific.
building.
That's a building code.
Building code.
Yeah, I think that would go above and beyond what we would normally do. So it falls into the category of follow the laws, you know. Did you want to put in the low noise AC?
Because I'm sure he wants to put AC in, so they do make noise.
I already
The
spoke
split
to
units are
Frank
whisper
about
quiet.
I know, but make sure it gets,
And do you want that to be reviewed and approved by the building commissioner?
I forgot anything?
I think that's all we got.
All right. Sorry, all right. Any further discussion? I will entertain a motion.
close the hearing?
no, we need to have permission from them. The design, the sidewalk, the walkway sketches.
I thought that
Like
was,
that was a condition.
I thought that was a condition.
Oh, condition, yeah.
I mean, unless you were intending on something else. Did I misunderstand?
No, I just thought he was gonna be submitting it later.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was a condition, same as the light specs.
Okay, no, that's fine.
When do we want to put a time frame for that? Usually it's certificate of occupancy
That's fine, but
prior to.
Yeah. all right, now I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we close the hearing.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of closing the hearing?
All right.
Aye. And with that, the hearing is closed. At this time, we can no longer take information from the applicant or from the public, nor can we request any information from the applicant as well. Anything additional to discuss? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we adjourn the meeting at 9:28.
Second.
Well, are we finished with you?
Oh, I thought that's, what we were looking for, motion for what?
Well, my question is whether we want to make a, you know, I was waiting for a motion on the decision.
Oh,
I kind of like to see it, but,
Okay,
yeah, I think we wanted, there's a
it's a fair amount of change.
significant amount of changes there.
okay, then I can ask you to withdraw your motion.
I shall withdraw my motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, because then we need to continue. No, we don't, actually, we don't, I'm
No,
sorry.
No,
But I do want to figure out when we're gonna do that.
So
9th, or whenever our next meeting is, if there's nothing else, it doesn't take long.
the next meeting is January 6th, which is a month from now. Unless the board wants to do
That's what I was
a
gonna
quick
ask.
meeting to review the decision.
That's fine.
How much time do you need?
To do it. It would, based on,
Realistic.
I would say 30 minutes.
no, how long it take you to render this thing? This
Oh,
version?
Yeah, but I don't know how much, you're the one who's gonna have to do this.
I could get it done by the end of the week.
Want to do it next Monday? 16th?
Sure. Sure, time to make the issue notice.
Is it, yeah, can you,
We just need to post an agenda.
Did you say the 16th for another meeting? Is that-
To
review the-
to review the decision.
I have a board of assessors meeting that,
Oh, we have that night too. At what time?
7 PM.
Can you have a recess for a few minutes?
Yeah,
Could
well,
we do it Wednesday, the 18th? Please hold, for people.
I can't.
We can go at 6:30.
Can we do it before the assessors meeting?
I have an appointment at 5. I don't know if I'll be done by 6:30. So,
16?
Tuesday?
Tuesday's fine with me.
Sorry, I can't do Tuesday.
Okay.
Thursday's fine with me too.
I'm sorry, I can't do Thursday either. Sorry.
Ronnie, you're killing me.
What about, would the 12th be too soon?
I don't think that's,
yeah, Michael won't have it done right now, it won't be available for review.
how about the 23rd, Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, works for me.
The 23rd?
Yeah.
7?
Yeah.
5. Whatever, 4. I mean, I don't,
We can do it before you guys go to work.
So you probably want to do it 8 o'clock?
and we could do it earlier. Be honest.
I honestly don't know what my day's gonna look like.
Let's just stick,
That's
let's stick to 7.
that's Christmas week, that's all.
All right. All right, let's put that on for the 23rd at 7.
Okay.
Can you do that?
Yes, yeah, I'll post the agenda, and it's just the only action item will be a deliberation of this.
Correct.
Meeting starts at 7 and then adjourn.
Correct.
No other items?
No other items. All right. With that, I'll take another motion. Sorry.
Can I pull that one out of the bag?
Yes,
now?
you can.
Oh, I propose that we adjourn the meeting at 9:30.
Second.
All right. The motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
I don't know if I have a vote on this one.
It's okay. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.